Yes, you're welcome back to African Colonization TV and Biafran History. Let us look into the cause, the main reason why you see Igbo man will never accept or identify himself as a Nigerian, and the cause of it, and also the ill treatment, the bad treatment that Igbo man used to find himself into in Nigeria. The cause and the reason why they will never accept that they are part of Nigeria. In fact, in this video, it is the video that exposes a lot of things that I would like everybody, every Igbo man need to know and need to understand what is happening in Nigeria and why the Nigerian government and the Nigerian states hate Igbo man, just like Igbo man is a threat to them. And Igbo man is a big problem to them, because any place they are and they find an Igbo person within themselves, they used to look the person as a suspect within them. But if Igbo man find himself around the world, any part of the world apart from Nigeria, they used to find the person as a person that is reliable, developing, and the many other good things will be coming into the person's mind, not in Nigeria. In fact, these our human rights activist, Dele Farotimi, he exposed a lot of things concerning the injustice, the ill treatment, and the things that is being on Igbo people in Nigeria, and the cause, the main reason why Igbo left Nigeria long time ago, that in fact they can never and they will never accept to be in Nigeria. So according to the headline, it says, the silent referendum, why Ndi Igbo identity no longer align with Nigerian citizenship. The silent referendum. If you see what is happening today and what is going on today, the Igbo, they have already done their own referendum and they already accept their own fate, and they have already accept that they are not part of Nigeria anymore. This issue you are saying that the people, some of them still claiming, the only people that is still claiming that they are one Nigeria is the politician, those that is still milking the country, those that is still stealing from the treasury purse, that are the people that is claiming that they are one Nigeria. Just watch by yourself and you will see and you will understand what we are saying. It's about to watch, like, subscribe, and share for everyone to see things going on in the country.
Nigeria has an Igbo problem. Keep that in mind. We'll get there. But Nigeria has excluded Ndi Igbo. You also find that the land of the Igbos have become militarized. I have traveled extensively in Igbo land. As a young lawyer, I used to be the one that would handle the cases for my law offices in the eastern part of Nigeria. It used to be that the youngest lawyer in the law office would do the ground work. So I used to be the one that would go to the east to handle cases for my office. And I traveled there. But more importantly, in recent times, I've had occasion to visit the East. I was a guest of the NBA Oka this year to deliver a lecture at their law week. And I traveled to Enugu from Oka. And one of the things I saw very quickly was the acute militarization of the space. Multiple military checkpoints everywhere, and a culture of the people learning to fear the security operatives, from the drivers to the people who are casually walking by, having to raise their hands even as they walk by. The systematic dehumanization and the citizens, I don't even know what to call it. When you remove, we'll get there. The important thing is that the Igbo person in his own land is not treated with dignity, with respect, or with the protection due to a citizen under the law. One of the things that has been battered by all of this is the resilience of Ndi Igbo. I was speaking with a friend sometime after the last election, the 2023 election. And he said to me, if I like, shut us out of government. When you thief all the money finish, you bring it to the market. And we'll be waiting for you. You want to buy food, Ndi Igbo is waiting. You want to buy building material, Ndi Igbo is waiting in the market for you. You want to buy anything you are buying in Nigeria, from electronics to building material to cars, anything, food, Ndi Igbo is waiting for you. This was the message he passed to me. And this is a message against which you can have no argument. Excluded from opportunities within the governance system, Ndi Igbo has built viable alternatives, created wealth, immense wealth amongst his young men and women. The spirit of exclusion has battered the spirit of independence. Of course, he had the lies, no victor, no vanquished. But is this true? The truth is that there is anything but. Igbos will point to the 20-pound policy and say that, oh, when we came out of the Civil War, regardless of what we had, all we got were 20 pounds. Awolowo was largely blamed for this. He was the economic minister. They will speak to the kwashokorization of Igbo children and talk about how all is fair in war, quote and unquote, and point to the weaponization of hunger. There are multiple responses to these things, but it's not my place to offer them this morning. But the only thing I want all of us to do is to keep in mind, is all indeed fair in war? The explanation that had been offered multiple times are this. Bank records had been destroyed, banks had been looted, but if you could prove that you had this money and the bank was not in the war zones, you could have access to your money. So the Igbo upper class were largely unaffected because they were largely dwelling in Lagos and the like. Ekweme got his money. No victor, no vanquished. But you began to have abandoned property syndrome. In Port Harcourt, Igbo properties were expropriated. Persons who had long health grievances against the domination of the Igbos acted vengefully, appropriated Igbo properties. In most parts of Nigeria, outside of the South, this didn't happen. I'm not suggesting that it didn't happen in some places that Igbo properties were expropriated, but I am not sure I've heard of it outside of the South. But these things happened, and it continued to birth a lot of resentment within Nigeria. So it's a lie to say that there was no vanquish, no victor, no vanquish. Igbos were certainly vanquished, and they were not allowed to forget about it. For years, Igbos were not deemed fit to serve in the upper echelon of either the police or the army, or any of the armed forces for that matter. For years, structurally marginalized to the point where it is only the eastern region or the land of the Igbos that is left with only 5 states. Others have become 6, 7. The number of local governments have not been increased, and yet these local governments have become the center for sharing revenue. Land space was not a factor in revenue allocation prior to the restructuring of Nigeria since after the Civil War. Today, it is the basis for revenue allocation, and you can be sure that the region with the least number of local governments is the Southeast. The land of Igbos have the least number of local governments, so systematically and structurally they are marginalized even in revenue allocation. You have a situation today where, whether we want to accept it or not, Igbos are deliberately excluded even from the presidency. In the years of Abacha or post-Abacha, Nigerians evolved a novel power sharing arrangement. They call it zoning. Power has been zoned to the south and to the west and to the north. The north has taken power and it's gone around. In 2023, it came back to the south, and by any rational deduction, should have gone to the Ndi Igbo. Ndi Igbo presented a very, very good candidate. We know the story of what happened in that election. It is almost impossible to argue against the fact of Igbo exclusion when you listen to the rhetoric issuing forth from certain persons in the northern part of Nigeria and from Yoruba land. The reality is that the marginalization of Ndi Igbo is structured Not necessarily because the Igbos have been excluded from power per se, but because Nigeria continues to suffer from a problem that I will speak to when I'm coming to the conclusion of this lecture. Nigeria has an Igbo problem. Keep that in mind. We'll get there. But Nigeria has excluded Ndi Igbo. You also find that the land of the Igbos have become militarized. I have traveled extensively in Igbo land. As a young lawyer, I used to be the one that would handle the cases for my law offices in the eastern part of Nigeria. It used to be that the youngest lawyer in a law office would do the grunt work. So I used to be the one that would go to the east to handle cases for my office. And I traveled there. But more importantly, in recent times, I've had occasion to visit the east. I was a guest of the NBA Oka this year to deliver a lecture at their law week. And I traveled to Enugu from Oka. And one of the things I saw very quickly was the acute militarization of the space. Multiple military checkpoints everywhere, and a culture of the people learning to fear the security operatives, from the drivers to the people who are casually walking by, having to raise their hands even as they walk by. The systematic dehumanization and the citizens, I don't even know what to call it. When you remove, we'll get there. The important thing is that the Igbo person in his own land is not treated with dignity, with respect, or with the protection due to a citizen under the law. One of the things that has been battered by all of this is the resilience of Ndi Igbo. I was speaking with a friend sometime after the last election, the 2023 election. And he said to me, if I like, shut us out of government. When you thief all the money finish, you bring it to the market. I will be waiting for you. You want to buy food, Ndi Igbo is waiting. You want to buy building material, Ndi Igbo is waiting in the market for you. You want to buy anything you are buying in Nigeria, from electronics to building material to cars, anything, food, Ndi Igbo is waiting for you. This was the message he passed to me. And this is a message against which you can have no argument. Excluded from opportunities within the governance system, Ndi Igbo has built viable alternatives, created wealth, immense wealth, amongst his young men and women. The spirit of exclusion has battered the spirit of independence. And that resilience has assured that Nigeria has built a people whom we may not like hearing as being destined for leadership, Padadi, Oyama, and Azikowe, but whom history would suggest offers lessons to those who will learn. Because what I see when I look at the resilience of Ndi Igbo is the same resilience I see that we call the Nigerian spirit, the refusal to give up. But in the midst of all of these, we must also speak to what now grew in Igbo land. And that's the rise of grievance politics. Instead of engaging Nigeria and its many issues with some measure of optimism and vision, what has happened is that there has been a rise in grievance politics in the land of the Igbos. You find persons who have traded on the genuine grievances of the people to gain offices, national offices, gubernatorial offices, but who have gone on to even be worse and more ruinous for the interest of the Igbos than the enemies of the Igbos who are outside of Igbo land. No Fulani man has ruled in Igbo land in the last 27 years. No Yoruba man has ruled Igbo land in that time. You've not had any Pachama ruling in Igbo land. No Awusa man has ruled Igbo land. Every ruler of Ala Igbo has been sons and daughters of Ala Igbo. Or outside of the exceptions, such as Peter Obi and today Uche, who are the persons that you may speak with has been exceptional in the governance of Ndi Igbo. You've had Oji Uzokalu, you've had Rocha Okorocha, you've had numerous Igbo sons and daughters who have spoken in the name of Ndi Igbo and only feathered their own nest while playing up the grievances which they never bothered to address. They speak to the marginalization of Ndi Igbo, and these marginalizations are real. but they speak of them only in terms of demanding that they too be settled, never in the interest of the whole. And in the midst of all of this, you find the rise of the separatist voices. And let me explain something. Nigeria encourages madness. If it will not listen to rational voices, it became inevitable that more extreme voices will be spoken in the language that Nigeria understands. And of course, you've seen the rise of the Umezuruke of this world and the multiple persons who had traded on the grievances of Ndi Igbo to build separatist movements demanding separation from Nigeria. I've had multiple occasions to address separatist agitators, both in Ndi Igbo land, in Yoruba land, and elsewhere. There are reasons why separatist noises have not found ventilation or action in Nigeria. And this is because outside of the state and the multiple evils that the state has mollycoddled, the only other persons who have sought to keep dialogues and violence have been counter-revolutionary groups such as Boko Haram and the rest. Now, if you who have genuine grievances now believe that you can use violence to achieve the goal, what you do is that you play into the hand of the system, which then delegitimizes your genuine grievances on account of the medium of expression. Let me be clear. Everything the oppressed does in pursuit of freedom will find no condemnation from me, including violence. But I may not support it because I do not believe that it would achieve the goal. That is not me condemning it. So what you have found in this time is that in Igbo land, you've had persons trading off the grievance of the people to gain offices, to gain political patronage, to make money. And then you've also had persons who have genuine grievances, are not interested in trading off it, demand changes, but embraced the wrong methodologies in my own view. I may not be correct. And speaking of correct or not correct, Nigeria has proven Nnamdi Kanu right at every point. We start here today. I'm speaking Dogon Turenchi. I have no single argument against, not one single argument against the facts that have been adduced by Nnamdi Kanu in his agitation against the Nigerian state. Not one. And if you press a little further, I am today convinced that Nnamdi Kanu was 110% correct in his assessment of the Nigerian state, what ails it. He was correct. But today, he sat in a cell somewhere, and numerous murderers are walking around free. That is vindication. The man is correct. Nigeria has an Igbo problem, and it is important that we address this. How did the Igbos move from being persons desirous of a unitary system at the peak of his hegemony to demanding separate homelands today? It's simple. The loss of citizenship, the absence of the rule of law. If impunity does not govern the country, there will be citizens. If the Igbo are citizens in Nigeria, they will not desire a separate homeland. If the Igbos are citizens of Nigeria, I would also be a citizen of Nigeria. The Igbo problem in Nigeria is the absence of citizenship. Restore citizenship to the Nigerian, the Igbo will not be demanding to go anywhere. Restore citizenship to Nigeria, the people of the Middle Belt will not be crying about Fulani herdsmen. Restore citizenship to Nigeria, the Hausa nation will not have Maishango locked up in prison simply because he asserted Hausa nationality. My request that we stroll around Nigeria, in some cases tiptoe around Nigeria, is not to peel as caps, is to go to the historical roots of our problems to see that the problems that have historical roots can only be cured by telling ourselves the hard truth. And if we shall confront this truth, we will find salvation for ourselves. Nigeria has an Igbo problem, but that problem is simply the loss of citizenship. If the Igbo people will be allowed citizenship in Nigeria, separatist agitations would disappear. We are all, as a collective, to blame for where we are. There are no saints and there are no sinners. The hegemons of the 50s and early 60s are today's victims because they are lacking in the protection of the law. Yesterday's hegemon is today's victim. Today's hegemon will become tomorrow's victims if citizenship is not quickly restored and the law allowed to rule in Nigeria. As I have said, I will offend, but it's not because I do not love you. It is simply because the truth has to be told if we must heal. Nigeria's problem can be easily cured with citizenship and the rule of law. Osun election showed you that. And Osun election should also show you that the problem is about class. It has very little to do with ethnicity. Father Nonsi wasn't talking to Iyachukudi. He was speaking to fellow Yorubas, fellow Ijeshas. Those were the persons to whom Father Nonsi was talking. If he had mentioned Chukuma, or Izuchukwu, or Osita, or Chinyere, you would have talked about ethnic bigotry in pursuit of power. There was no ethnicity other than the Yoruba involved in Osun State. This is a lesson of Nigeria. The Igbo problem is the absence of citizenship. Next week, I'll be coming on to Yoruba land. I may even decide to deliver that lecture in Yoruba so that I'll piss off a few more people. But then, have you a blessed week. Congratulations to the governor of Osun State. I can't say congratulations to the people of Osun State just yet. When he has done well, we'll congratulate the people. But the voice of the people counted for something this time around. And that should tell the Nigerian opposition, organize, mobilize the people. Evil blinks when the people are determined for change. Have a blessed week, everyone. I'll see you next.
Oh yes, that is it. In fact, this our brother activist, Dere followed to me. He has already said it all. There is no argument about it, and there is no two ways about it. There is nobody that is an Igbo man that he will be claiming that he is in Nigeria more than the people that hate him that claim Nigeria. Nobody. Starting from day one to date, after the war or during the war, Igbo man have never been part of Nigeria. After the war ended, it is when they even exclude them finally out of Nigeria. They do all those things to make sure that Igbo suffer heavily, both in and out of Nigeria. If not, that is the resilience of Igbo man, that they never accept defeat, and any place they find themselves, they will make sure that they lift up themselves and keep moving. And even what happens to Igbo happen to other tribes in Nigeria. I don't know, even in 1,000 years, they will never survive it, and they will still scrambling to even to breathe. And that is what is still going on till date. Igbo have passed Nigeria, and Igbo, in fact, they have walked above Nigeria. And that is the main reason why you see this agitation going on everywhere. Everywhere you go, Igbo man want to leave Nigeria. In fact, they have already left Nigeria. No matter whatever anybody comes out to agitate, you have the right to do so. You have the right. You cannot come in a country to subjugate people above their rights, within their rights, without even allowing them to exercise their rights, and you claim one Nigeria or nothing. Even though if the politician who is still milking the country, is still supporting the bad government and is the bad country, suppressing their own people, the people that be suppressed know who and who that is part of it. So all of them know that they are not part of Nigeria. So that is what is there. Mazi Kano was agitating, doing what he was doing. They went to Kenya to kidnap him, brought him back to Nigeria and sentenced him life sentence. But the same people who were unaliving people every day by day, destroying life, chasing away villagers, and they killing the soldiers and police. Those ones, when they get them, they will call them repentant Boko Haram and let them to go free every day by day without doing them anything. But somebody who tells you enough is enough, do my people what you are doing to others, give them fair treatment, and if you don't want to give them fair treatment, then allow them to go. Then you call the person a terrorist and lock him up because of he's an Igbo man. After everything, you want the country to be okay, and you want everybody to keep moving as if nothing happened. Have you seen it? In fact, a lot is happening. If you come to this issue of division or issue of hatred, they create hatred among Igbo, within Igbo, to the extent that their own co-brothers, that is the South, according to how they design them, which is part of Igbos, they still design them, they still create enmity between them and the men they call Igbo, that is the Southeast, claiming that they are not part of, but they know where they belong to, just to divide Igbo and to bring enmity between one another. Well, thanks be to God and thanks to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that came and opened everybody's eyes and exposed a lot of secrets under Nigeria, and also give us light again. That's the light we used to see today, and that is why the country is crying heavily, because of Mazi has come and he came to expose a lot of things in the country. That is what is happening. Gowon who created this evil and this wickedness is still there, claiming to become one Nigeria. Look at his home. His home is burning fire every day. Plateau State is on fire every day. They are being slaughtering their own people every day. He do nothing. But it's a country he fought for. He claimed that one Nigeria or nothing, and also bring division, hatred among the Igbo people within themselves and outside of the state. Today, the person who caused this war is now slaughtered every day in their own home, in their place, every day in their place. What a shame. What a shame. I would like your comment down below, like, subscribe and share for everyone to see things happening. And the issue of exposing, we'll keep exposing the truth in this our channel. Every day we'll keep exposing the truth. Only the truth that will set us free, and it's only the truth that will make what we are doing to come true. Nigeria is built with lies, and Nigeria is built with fabrication, corruption, and a lot of lies and lies. Till date, is stand on lies. That is why you see nothing is moving and nothing is developing. That is what is there. I'll let you comment down below, like, subscribe and share for everyone to see things happening in the country. Say thank you for watching.